Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm Desert Travis and you're along for the adventure. Alright, so talk about a little bit of where we left off. So if you saw my last video, which by the way is taking 24 hours to load the YouTube, not YouTube's fault, I changed plans. Anyways, we want to work on two projects. I have this 55-gallon drum from 2024. And it's almost about half full of concentrate. So I talked to a refiner in Arizona at the time, and he was talking about ratios of concentration. So just concentrating your material down to a certain size and saving it instead of having to go through it. And then they also said that industry standard is minus 20 mesh. So if I want to do, let's just say this scored high, right, in grade, I'd still have to remill it down to minus 20 mesh to ship it off. Okay, so it's going to take some time to fish this out because it's back in there, and I have to dry it with the roaster that I built. So in the meantime, my Chipmunk crusher here has been inactive for a while since we did the 500 pounds. So I want to go ahead and run this, and we're going to run the red ore. We call it the red ore. I think it's some kind of skarn. It could just be limonite. Definitely metamorphosed rock. But in the mine, I chipped off some and sent it off to Lawrence Hiddle in Colorado. And it came back to, it was something like 1.44 ounces per ton. Now, where that was in the mine, you know, versus where I chipped off, where, you know, where this stuff came from, I'll, you never know if your grade's gonna change and where it came from, you know, especially if you don't know where it came from. I mean, I have a sill in my mine, and eventually it peters out about 40 feet down the line. And it could have came from the very end for all I know. So instead of, you know, right there where I chipped off right when you go down. So that could be a variable. So I don't know exactly how much gold, you know, without sending this stuff off for an assay. Roughly, you know, 50 bucks, a little less if you crush it yourself. I think he says about 35 if you do it yourself. Could have changed by now. It's been a, you know, a couple years. But so I want to know how much recoverable gold that I can recover is inside of this material. So we have a whole wheelbarrow full of it, and I'll show that to you right now. Alright, so this is what I picked out from everything that I've screened. There's some really nice stuff in here. Pretty thick there, so that could kind of tell me where in the mine it came from. You know, where it's thicker versus thinner, right? And this one is obviously thinner, so it might have came from thinner spot, or maybe it pinches and swells all the way through. Very possible. Beautiful stuff. So the other thing I want to say about this is I was doing smelting, and I found that every pound of this material produces a little piece of gold. Smelting. That's not a, you know, recovery through gravity separation. That's just crushing this directly up and doing your own home assay. Like a weighable piece of gold. You know, not huge or anything, but every bit that I ran, you know, came out to have some nice gold in it. So it's very possible that this is really fine gold. And the reason why I call it skarn, black stuff, that's probably a silver mineral right there. More than likely silver. It's pretty. Is because there's garnet, lead, maybe it looks like there's copper in it. I'm going back and forth about if it's contamination within the 4 foot, 5 foot span that the miners were removing from the mine, you know, versus just this stuff. I don't think I remember finding any copper in this material when I was working with it before. So we should be good there. And we're going to go ahead and run this through the Chipmunk twice. And then I want to run it through the RC-1 4 times. 4 times. And then we'll do a couple little tests on the sluice box versus how I could concentrate it in a pan, slow panning. Because my original recommendation for this stuff was flotation, so in a lot of ways, it could be that a lot of my gold is just going right into the tailings. So, anyways, that's the 2 projects, and it's going to be a bunch of work. Alright. So by getting these 2 projects together, I should get some gold. I'm hoping for at least a few grams out of that barrel there. And we'll see what comes out of the red ore. Alright, so whoever made this headlamp that turns off automatically is silly. But alright. This is a whole 55-gallon drum. And that's how much concentrate that I've saved up. think it'll be pretty good. I'd say at least a few grams. Cross my fingers, maybe more. We're going to run this 4 times also through the RC-1. This tooth, I had to use the handle of a pick to, usually I have my breaker bar, tamping bar, you know, to open it up, but that thing gets really stiff sometimes. The tooth of the chipmunk. This is a leaf vacuum, but I use it the other way. Taking bars down in the hole. Not a very big hole, but a hole. Pull the rest of this out here. No rocks in there. Oh, generator's still running. Well, it goes in a little easier than it came out. I built a fire, so we're ready to put the concentrates in the roaster. I'm using an old blender cup into a bucket. Now, what iron? You try to do everything in here. Okay. A lot heavier when it's wet. Yeah, you kind of see it. There you go. The roaster. No handle on this bucket. First bucket. It built a nice fire this time. Pretty good wood in there. We'll probably put 3 or 4 bucketfuls at a time, and then we'll keep it in here until it cools. Then it goes through the RC-1 4 times. Yeah, I'd say that bucket's about toast. Okay, so we put 3 over half bucketfuls of material in here, of the concentrates from 2024. And while this is drying, we're gonna get to crushing. I'm just grabbing the stuff, throwing it in the bucket. It's grabbable. And I'm not going to bother weighing this until it comes out of the RC-1 the 4th time. Alright, first bucket of the red ore. Alright, let's start it up. Get a good pull. I gotta run this thing more often. choke. Alright, first bucket. Yeah, I gotta put more flame on this. Good thing I'm working on other stuff while I'm doing this one. Take some time. It's good to decant more too, but it is what it is. Bucket 2. Scrounge what I cut off the pile. I was going through this barrel. I found this piece. I'm kind of using my phone to see if I see anything. Well, that's nice and buggy. Might hold on to that one. Yeah. Second bucket. Okay, bucket number 2. Okay, 3 buckets so far, but I'm out of buckets, so we're going to go ahead and put it in this blue tote for now, and keep going, crushing the red ore. Okay, I decided to weigh it before I transferred it into that other tote. We have 147.2 with the buckets. Now I want to run this 4 times through the RC-1. Once I get it all crushed up. We're gonna probably take some of it and do some kind of slow panning method. So our concentrates are dry. I'm transferring them into this one for now. And then we'll dry some more. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to show you was what color this stuff turns to. It's like a purple. That the roasted material turns to. Yeah, there's definitely gold in this. Alright, we're getting down on the concentrates here. I can actually move the barrel. And this is my 3rd half bucket. Gonna go into the roaster. I gotta pour some of this water off. Get it all dried up. Get some gold. Bucket 3 and bucket 4. This one's a little light. That's it. For the red stuff. Okay, another 140.4 red stuff with the bucket weight. Alright, we're gonna start crushing the RC-1 with the RC-1. Concentrates are coming along. This one's almost dry, and I have one more in the barrel to do, which is probably going to be a lesser. And we weigh it. And it goes through the RC-1. I'm thinking 4 times.